Good afternoon. My name is Pedro Reyes, and I have the honor of serving as the Executive Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs at UT System. As we begin this afternoon, I'd like to recognize some special people, guests that we have in the house. And is Regent Aliceda in the house? Not yet. He will be here in a little bit. Dr. Julio Leon, who's special advisor to UT System. Dr. Julio Leon. And Dr. Francisco Fernandez, who's our Dean, Medical School Dean. And I think you know him well. I still remember when he was doing the presentation here and talked about the Pointer Sisters. And so we have the great privilege, I think, of being witness to a time of incredible transformation in this area that I love so much. I think it was less than 18 months ago. Just think about this. Less than 18 months ago that the UT System Board of Regents and the Chancellor unveiled this bold plan to create a new university. 18 months. After waiting for, what is it, Veronica, 70 years or more than 70 or 100 years. So this is an incredible time. This is a wonderful time to be a witness to this. And this happened because of the incredible leadership in our Valley legislators. So we now see the vision coming to life, the vision that we created, not only with the legislators, but with the support of our business, community leaders, our faculty and staff, and obviously our students. So the momentum is, this is moving fairly quickly, and for UTRGV, last month, or late last month, the region selected sole finalists for the inaugural presidency of UTRGV. And today, I want to introduce him to you. Guy Bailey, Dr. Guy Bailey, brings a wide range of experiences that will serve the students of the Rio Grande Valley well. He's a social linguist, humanist, which will complement the medical school at UTRGV. And I think as all of you know, he holds a bachelor's degree, a master's degree in English from University of Alabama, and a doctorate in English and linguistics, that is, from the University of Tennessee. And he also completed his postdoctoral studies at Emory University and Stanford University. And I think for all of us, he's published over 100 books and articles throughout his career. So Dr. Bailey is a seasoned university leader who now returns to UT System. As you know, he served as a provost and executive vice president of the University of Texas San Antonio. He was also chancellor of the University of Missouri, and some people call it Missouri, Kansas City. He was also the president of Texas Tech, and then president at the University of Alabama, his alma mater. Dr. Bailey is not only a seasoned leader, but he's led complex academic enterprises and brings incredible attributes to the presidency of UTRGV. He's committed to undergraduate education. As chancellor at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, he created the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Access to expand the university outreach to both the community as a whole and to groups that have been traditionally underserved. He's known for being a vocal advocate for students. He also sought to establish many pathways for students to help them reach their goals. At UTSA, he spearheaded collaborations with 3 low-income communities, school districts, and created one of the first early college high schools in the state. At Missouri, he oversaw an innovative approach to medical education. Students were granted admission to medical school directly from high school, with a course of study planned over 6 years. Learning is encouraged through the close faculty-student interaction and student partnerships. Dr. Bailey is experiencing growing a campus. Again, at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, he developed an innovative construction plan that allowed the university to build many facilities with minimal state resources. While his administrative work has comprised a wide range of activities, I think he cites 5 areas that have been consistent priorities of his leadership. One is to implement a workable strategic and financial plan. Another one to enhance resources, and we all know that we need resources. The establishment of private-public partnerships, and as you know, we are experimenting with a lot of those partnerships at this point. The implementation of new programs, and this institution will have many new programs in the future, and the hiring of great, excellent personnel. We are fortunate to have him lead the establishment of UTRGV. Please help me welcome Dr. Guy Bailey to our community.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be here, and if you don't mind, I'd rather stand down here, if that's okay. If you want me to go up there, I will, but I am more comfortable down here. First of all, I want to tell you what an honor it is to be here, and a privilege to be with you today. You know, this is, I've done a lot of things in higher education, but nothing quite as exciting as this, and all of us are part of something that is really unique in American higher education. If you think about this, this will be the first major university established in the 21st century. I was a dean at University of Nevada, Las Vegas a number of years ago, and you know the old saying, what happens in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas. If we do it right, what happens here won't stay here. It'll set the pattern for a lot of other places, and we have a chance really to be out in front. When you see your legislators and when you see board members, thank them for what they've done. They've really given you, me, the entire valley a unique opportunity. You know, the other saying I like to cite when I talk about this opportunity, you heard, you know, put your money where your mouth is. The UT system has done that. They've invested $350 million, or investing $350 million in this opportunity. Now, I was at San Antonio 8 years. We didn't get any, I would have given anything for half of that. I mean, this is really an incredible opportunity. So it's quite an honor to be part of it. This is not an opportunity without challenges, and you know that as well as I do. There's a lot of hard work that's going to have to be done. There will be bumps in the road that we have to work through, but those all can be done with your help. This is a collaborative venture. This isn't a venture that I'm setting up. It's a venture that we're setting up, and so I look forward to working with you in doing that. You know, there's a lot of planning that has to be done, but there are a couple of things that are really important. We want this new institution to be student-focused. There is no measure of a university's success outside the success of its students. Think about it. You think of Harvard as a great university because its students have been very successful. It's real simple. So the success of students has to be first and foremost. I had a rule at Texas Tech and at UMKC. Any student who wanted to see the president got to see the president. If you came to the office, we worked you in there. Same thing with family members. You know, sometimes that drove me nuts, but the truth is, you know, but the truth is, their success was our success. We had no success apart from them, and so it's something you simply do. And there's a message to the whole campus that you send that way. In addition to that, this institution has a chance to become an emerging research institution, and there's significant financial benefits from doing that. And you know, you've already made great progress in doing that. And so that's do it. When I got to UTSA in 1997, I think we had 2 doctoral programs, and we were doing, our research expenditures were about $7 million, something like that. if you look at UTSA now, there are 19 or 20 or more doctoral programs, and the research expenditures are probably over 50 million. That's something that's doable, and the foundation really is in place for doing that. And as you do that, you'll be setting a pattern for something different in the 21st century. It's going to be quite I think, a lot of fun. Like I said, there'll be plenty of challenges, and we'll work together and get those done. In any event, it's an honor to be here, and I want to leave the rest of the time for you to ask questions, and I'll try to respond to those. By the way, I can't thank you so much for turning out today. I know that you didn't have to do this, that you probably had other things to do with your time, and I really do appreciate your being here. So thank you, and let's throw it open to questions. I think there's a mic. Yeah.
Where is the mic on this?
Up here.
Okay. Dr. Bailey, welcome. I hope your visit here thus far has been a pleasant one. The big question on a lot of faculty's minds, just yesterday, they put out from the regents the transition plan for transition faculty to the new institution. But the question that we've consistently asked through Faculty Senate and through our various colleges is, what programs, how many faculty, who's deciding that, what's the criteria? And the answer's always been, we really don't know. We're waiting for the new president.
That was a good answer, wasn't it? Yeah.
So, the timeline, if we look at the Project South Texas, it says this will all be decided by mid-July. So my question to you is, do you have an idea of how that's all going to go about?
That's a good question, and I don't have a complete answer for you, but let me just tell you what where things stand right now, and we can kind of go from there. I saw the same thing you saw, and so I know what the transition plan is, and we'll work on it very quickly. Here's the thing. We need the faculty at these universities to do this. I mean, and I think the intent of the board and the intent of the system was to integrate the faculty in getting this done. So I think the transition plan, as I said, it'll have to be quickly implemented. I'll put together a transition team very quickly. In fact, once I'm officially appointed, remember I'm not official yet, so, and your provost will be part of that transition team. Sorry about leaking the stuff, but I won't, and we'll look carefully at that. The programs, the list of programs initially have already been approved, and so but over the next few years there will be a lot of program development and program building. I mean, what interested me about this opportunity is not eliminating programs but building programs. What I found so exciting about being at UTSA when I was there the 8 years in the late 90s and early part of 2000 was program development and program building. So we're going to be doing a lot more program building in the future, and we'll need faculty for that. Do I have all the exact criteria laid out at this point? No, I don't, but I will pretty quickly. But the thing you should keep in mind, our interest is in building faculty, not in getting rid of faculty. It's in building a faculty. The interest here is not in eliminating programs, but in developing and expanding programs. So I think that's the best answer I can give you at this point, and it's the honest answer. And I think if you're able to, if you step back from it and you can look out a few years, I think people will be really happy with the results. I think you'll be very pleased with the expansion in the number and kind of programs and in the opportunities that you as faculty will have. So. Yes.
Welcome, Dr. Bailey.
Thank you.
The university has a long history of and commitment to the concept of shared governance. And I wonder if you would define for us your perception of the role of faculty governance.
Well, it's interesting. Every university I've been at has similar kinds of a similar situation where faculty governance has been pretty strong. And there are a couple of things I want to point out. Faculty governance really works two ways. Remember, you usually have a Senate, some sort of elected body that helps you in the formulation of policy. And I assume that your faculty senate does that. When you do policies, you work with your senate. Faculty governance also operates on a more local level in terms of hiring and curriculum development that's not done centrally with a system, but with departments. And sometimes when we talk about faculty governance, we forget one or the other of both. And so both of those things are pretty important. I'm not going to develop all the new programs for you. You're going to develop those programs. I'm going to assist and help move those forward. But program development is something that you'll do. Faculty hiring, something that you'll do. Policy formation is something we'll do. And so I've had very good relationships with my faculty senates, Missouri, Kansas City, Texas Tech, and UTSA, and found them great to work with. That didn't mean we didn't always agree on things, but we always were agreeable with one. Does that make sense? And so I worked very hard to create and foster an atmosphere of mutual respect and trying to work through issues together. And so if we do that, we'll get through this just fine.
Well, it's nice to see you again, Dr. Bailey.
Good to see
welcome
you,
to our
yeah.
campus. The question that a lot of people have been asking me is whether or not you have plans to incorporate members of our current administration into your own administration.
Yes, I can't tell you exactly what the administration a year from now is going to look like. I don't know, but you have some very talented people here, and so we'll take advantage of talents wherever we can. Here's if you think about it from an administrative point of view, and this is not an issue so much for faculty, but more for administrators. The administrative structure of the new institution really hasn't been determined and developed. And as the administrative structure is determined and development, we'll try to get people into the proper roles. And you know, some people may serve a different function in a different kind of administration. But we'll try to use, in other words, almost all of the talent for the new university is sitting right here. And that's just the way it has to be. So I can't say that, yes, everybody will have the same role. But we will take people in the new administrative structure and try to make sure they're in the best roles possible to serve the new institution, to best serve our students. And we think it'll also, we're cognizant, I'm cognizant personally of people's careers as well. And so we'll always keep those things in mind.
Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions?
Good afternoon, Dr. Bailey. Community engagement surfaced as a top priority from the working groups for UTRGV, spanning across academic, administrative, and operational working groups. So my question to you is, what is your vision for an engaged university? And secondly, what role do you see engagement playing in the pathway to a research institution?
Those two great questions. Make sure I get both parts of you. It's a two-part question. So I'll start. First of all, the role of an engaged university. I think the very structure of the new institution sort of screams community engagement. And let me just give you an example. Think about the new medical school and its creation, its mission, and its goal. It's all about transforming health care in the Valley. I have no doubt, by the way, that our new dean's going to help us have really a model medical school for the future. But we want the rest of the institution to do the same thing. And an engaged institution is one that understands that the community's problems are also its problems. Does that make sense? If there's a problem out there, it's also a problem in here. And to the extent that we can assist in the development of those problems, we want to do that. A good example, Dr. Reyes mentioned the early college high schools we did in San Antonio. When we did those, nobody in Texas had done them. We were really interested in expanding the pipeline of students coming to UTSA. And we realized that we couldn't expand that pipeline unless we were engaged with the public schools in doing it. And so I'm sure you're already doing those kinds of things. And I'm sure you're doing them in a number of different ways, but we'll support that very strongly. And if you think about it, the very creation of a university with a medical school in the Valley, that was at the heart of what we're doing. The educational pipeline is huge here too. You can think about other environmental problems and issues that we can address and engage. Hey, is water an issue here? Is there any place in Texas it's not an issue? I mean, you have to go to Alabama where water is not an issue. But here it is. And so, you know, all of those things are engagement. Now, the second part of the question was, how does that help you move toward a research university? Just think about the last issue I mentioned, water. That problem isn't going to be solved without research into the situation, and there's plenty of money out there available to support that. The same thing is true with various kinds of medical issues as well. All of those will help build, and the medical school can be leveraged by the general academic and vice versa to really help expand and build the research operation. You have the talent and ability to do that, and so my job is to try to make sure you have the resources and the time and the kind of partnerships you need to make that happen.
Being a bore. So you were in Brownsville this morning.
Yes, I was.
And you're here now, and I'm guessing that you drove, right? And so there's some physical distance between those locations.
There is.
And I was just wondering if you had any thoughts about how that is going to be addressed, that the separation of the different, I don't think they even want us to call them campuses, they want us to call them instructional sites or something like that. You know, but how do you see that, that you're going to be able to, or for the, going to be able to keep your finger on the pulse of these disparate locations, and for that matter, those of us who are faculty, how are we going to maintain our colleagues, contact with our colleagues at these different locations, and so forth?
Well, those are good questions, and really, those questions kind of get at the heart of the challenge we face. I can't give you a pattern because no one has done exactly this before. There have been some things that have been similar, and by the way, I have to tell you, I bought a brand new truck because I figured, hey, 3 years and it's over with that truck. And so this is true, literally true. And I have 9,000 miles on my truck. I figure if I can get 3 years out of that thing, I'm going to be real lucky. So my own role is going to be driving a lot. But you're going to be one faculty at multiple locations, and there are more than two. Remember, we got stuff in Harlingen, and McAllen's not very far, but there'll be multiple locations there. Technology helps, but it won't solve all the issues. There are both instructional issues that can't completely be solved by technology, and the fact is, as a faculty, you need to be, every once in a while anyway, face-to-face with other faculty members. I mean, just sit down or stand up or whatever and talk to one another. And so those logistical issues are things that we'll have to address. There have to be some transportation options back and forth as well. And over the next year, we'll put those in place. But it's something that we're going to have to work at. And hey, I've already thought about that. If somebody wants to do an experimental train, I'll bet we'd be happy to be the first partner in that. But it is that is going to be the challenge that we have to work at constantly. You have to understand that now we had a little bit of this issue in San Antonio, not the entire thing, where we had downtown campus and a 1604 campus, and ultimately the solution there, and I, as a provost, I taught at both places, and so I mean, it's not as far downtown. You just get in the traffic though, and it seems that far. But we had kind of signature programs at both places. A lot of stuff was taught at both places. I frequently teach history of the English language, which is the English major's least favorite class, right? That's the class they hate. But I usually taught that at both places at the same time and used video streaming. I'd teach sometimes at one place, some at the other. And, over time, that kind of worked itself out. And over time, I think you will be able to bond as a faculty member. It won't happen the first day, right? The university opens up. It's something we're going to work at and try to support over time happening. Now, if you have good ideas, and bullet train's not a bad one, I'm happy to have them. But remember, your number of colleagues will increase. Well, you have a lot more faculty than they do, but it will increase somewhat. And so figuring out how to work together is something that we'll all be working on for quite some time. Yes? Well, yeah, let me ask you, and if you can, just a minute so I can see. Are you talking about people maintaining tenure who have tenure, not standards for tenure and promotion? Yeah. My understanding is that this whole enterprise was not set up to go in and eliminate a bunch of tenure track faculty. That's not the purpose. And in fact, we're going to have at least the same number of students when the new institution starts that you have right now, right? So we're going to need the faculty. So the purpose is not to eliminate tenure. I don't see that as a general, my perspective, I don't see that as a general issue that should worry people. Does that make sense? Now, well, what I'm trying to say, can I say that I have not looked closely enough at the board, at what the board passed, to say everybody's automatically coming over and blessed with tenure. On the other hand, my understanding of that policy, without having given it a thorough review, is that it was not designed to eliminate anybody's tenure. And so that's the purpose we'll look at going forward. That's the approach we'll take going forward with it. Is that better? Is that, I can give you my perspective on it at this point with what I know. Yeah, I understand. I understand. Yeah.
My question is, we now have the University of Texas, Brownsville for another year, the University of Texas, Pan American for another year, and you are the University of Rio Grande Valley.
Hey, we've got an interesting year, don't we?
So how, I guess my question is, in a few days, you will be the president of UTRGV. So how does all this come together? Because we still have another year of students.
That's right. You've got everyday work to do. And over the next year, your focus has to be on educating students that are here, finishing your research projects that you're currently doing, working on those things. And I think everybody's intent is that there is no, at the same time, we'll put together a transition team, and that transition team will work with you, work with faculty and staff at Brownsville in trying to come up with the procedures and the policies and the processes that we need to do. I mean, there are a lot of really, there are two ways going forward, two things you have to think about. On the one hand, there are the more general conceptual issues, and on the other hand, there's stuff like making sure all the students on the first day of classes in 2015 are enrolled, right? Making sure that they have their financial aid, making sure that you get your paychecks, right? All of these things have to be done. So the latter part, the transition team, plus whatever expertise we need to pull in in making that transition we'll do. So we'll, in other words, try to get all the help, and my job is to make sure that transition happens and happens appropriately. At the same time, I'll begin working with you and everybody else in laying out conceptually what the new university looks like, how it will be structured. I can guarantee you that I've already done. How many people here have put in a new student record system? You never done that before? If you ever put a new student record system in, it takes you 3 years before there are no bumps. It really takes a long time to do. Now, my goal is, so I can guarantee you on the first day we're going to have a few bumps, but we're also going to address them and deal with them. And so going forward for the next year, I want you to do a great job teaching your students, work on your research. As we ask you to help with other things, that'd be greatly appreciated. But there will be a transition team that really gets focused on the day-to-day kinds of issues. Is it? There's another other questions over here.
One of the other things that we do in our departments year after year, particularly where we have growth,
Yes.
or where we have faculty who leave and we have open positions that we have to fill, how do you see, how's that going to work? The same way it's worked before in terms of requesting those and those kind of things?
Yeah, I mean, think about right now, for the next 12 months, your processes in the institution will work just as they're working. So if you have a faculty member retire or something and you need to fill a position, you'll put in a request the same way, and your provost will, and your VP for business affairs will make sure that, or if there's no money there, that information will get down. So those things will happen just as, remember this is a transition year, but this institution still operates during that year.
Right, we can't just
Right, you can't.
stop.
Yeah, you can't just stop, and that's fully understood. Now, I assume that they'll probably come and run things by me, but I mean, I'll rely very heavily on your people here. You know, we had a chemist resign. Do you need a new chemist? Well, I mean, somebody's got to teach, you know, organic chemistry or what have you. So.
Yeah. Or we had an open position that we weren't able to fill,
Yeah.
but we still need
That's right.
the position.
The other thing we'll do, in hiring a lot, in doing some of the hiring, remember we also have a medical school coming online. So, you know, there's another partner we want to talk to there as well. I actually think in many areas it's going to be easier to get really top-notch faculty in the sciences. Engineering maybe as well, even some social sciences. I think, you know, we've got some folks, suddenly the opportunities are greater, and we want to make sure that as we go forward we've taken all that into account too.
Thank you.
From the very beginning, when Dr. Leon made his presentation, it was mentioned that this eventually would like to see to become a bilingual, bicultural university offering degrees both in English and in Spanish.
That's right.
Is that a real possibility or just a PR element, given the fact that the official language of the state is English?
Well, does Texas, the United States doesn't have an official language. I don't think Texas does either, unless the law was changed while I was gone. So there is no official U.S. language. Actually, the only language that the United States as a whole ever looked at as making an official language was German. And you know, right after the Revolutionary War, there was some movement to make German the language. But there is no official language in the U.S. There's no official language in Texas. And we can do exactly, I think we get broad support both legislatively and from the UT system for doing that. And I think given remember that what the face of the United States in the coming century is going to look a lot more like the Valley than anywhere else. And so I think not only is it a real possibility, I think it's something we absolutely need to push forward. Yeah. And I think there'll be broad support for that. Thank you. I think they're running me off, but thank you very much. I look forward to working with you and really appreciate your being here. Thank you.